turmoil to another. Rex Ryan is sticking with Mark Sanchez at quarterback, and this is what Tom Jackson had to say about the quarterback controversy.
First of all, I think his psyche's already affected by bringing Tebow in. I didn't think he was going to be able to stand up to it anyway. The team is going to be what it is now.
Okay.
So if, in fact, they play like that, why wouldn't you play Tim Tebow? You know, I'm not a psychologist. I'm watching this kid, though. His psyche has been destroyed. And you knew it was going to happen. Tebow chose to come here for a reason.
Mark Sanchez can't handle the pressure, but do you agree with the fact that Tebow is uncomfortable with him being there? Do you agree with Jackson's comments, Stephen?
Absolutely. And before I say that, let me preface my comments, Skip, by saying Boomer and Tom Jackson on the blitz, I call that dynamic duo, I call them the institution. Because here at ESPN, that's what they are. Well, the other half of the institution, meaning Tom Jackson, spoke to me before this season even began and told me to my face everything that was going to go down. He even broke it down by game, what was going to happen with the Jets and specifically Mark Sanchez. So I get where he's coming from, and so far he seems prophetic, no doubt about it. But here's where I do disagree with him. I do not believe that Tim Tebow's arrival has damaged the psyche of Mark Sanchez. I believe that Rex Ryan and Mike Tannenbaum have damaged the psyche of Mark Sanchez from the time he came into the NFL. They drafted him number 5 overall, Skip. They handed the starting job to him. Their definition of a backup quarterback was Mr. AARP himself, Mark Brunell, who we all knew would not take a snap in the NFL ever again, okay? Because of age and attrition alone. That was their definition of a backup quarterback, which was the height of job security if you're somebody at the quarterback position. If it's Mark Sanchez, that made it not only inexplicable, but asinine because he had development to kick in. He had stages of growth and maturation he needed to go through. And to put him in that position and to give him the starting job and to never have any challenges whatsoever, the first 3 seasons alienated half the Jets locker room because they know how coddled he has been over the 3 years. So even though you can point to Tebow's arrival, my contention is that's the easy way out, Skip, because that's just the latest in all the things that have contributed to the damaging of Mark Sanchez, because you never should have handed him security in the first place, so he felt like it was being taken away from him when Tebow arrived. He should have never had that security. He should have always known that his stuff was precarious because his game was inconsistent, but the Jets didn't do that, and that is why he's in the psychological situation that he's in right now, because he's been pacified too long before ultimately the rug was swept under him by Tebow's arrival.
So you're saying if the Jets had gone out and signed Kyle Orton to be the backup instead of Tebow, that Sanchez also would have crumbled because he'd never had any threat from the backup quarterback?
I'm saying to you that anybody that was in position to challenge Mark Sanchez for his job was going to mess with him because of how significantly he had been coddled over the previous 3 years.
So, as usual, you're going to give Tim Tebow 0 credit for posing any real threat just because he's Tebow to Mark Sanchez, which is Tom Jackson's idea to start with, right?
Skip Tebow, take it any way you want. Skip Tebow, take it any way you want.
I'm going to take
You're
it this
unbelievable.
way. No, I'm not
Go
unbelievable. Tom Jackson is unbelievable because he nailed it. And I agree, Stephen A., absolutely with Tom Jackson, because I believe that the moment that Mark Sanchez was informed after the fact that Rex and Tannenbaum had decided to sign Tim Tebow without even conferring at all with Mark Sanchez, from that moment forward, Mark Sanchez was a mental goner. He was a lost cause because you know and I know Tebow chose the Jets because he knew that with him looking over the shoulder pads of Mark Sanchez, that Sanchez slowly but surely would crumble psychologically, which he clearly has. Now, a lot of analysts were making the case that Tebow will motivate Sanchez, and that's all I heard through training camp. Mark looks better than ever. We kept hearing it from Rex. Oh, Tebow's pushing him in the weight room. He's pushing him on the practice field. Mark looks sharper than ever. Baloney. Mark can't stand this because, again, you laugh at me about how Tebow is a force of competitive nature. Well, he's just also a force of nature. To have him as a media force in the same locker room with Mark Sanchez,
That's
sometimes
true.
in the same
That's
huddle.
true.
It's just too much.
That's very true.
The guy is crumbling. I feel sorry for Mark Sanchez. He's not equipped psychologically to fight this off. And Stephen A., the mere fact that Sanchez submitted to all this, willingly said, okay, I'll occasionally trot off the field to let Tim Tebow run my offense. Sometimes I'll even trot out and line up at receiver to let Tebow run my offense. That's all I need to know. He put up no fight because he has none in him. Again, bottom line to this, Rex says that right now, still going forward, that Sanchez is the better answer at quarterback. No, he's a basket case. He's a lost cause. He's mentally done because of Tim Tebow. That's why Tebow would give him a better chance to win right now.
Skip, I'm totally with you when you talk about how, Mark Sanchez should have never accepted this. But there's something you left out that I honestly believe that you should include in all of this. And we haven't addressed this, Skip, so I'll throw it out with you and we can answer this together. Do you think Mark Sanchez sold out? You got to remember, he was due to get paid $11.75 million. I think about 8 of it was guaranteed or whatever the case may be. Ultimately, they guaranteed him $20.5 million through this season and next season. Guaranteed over the next 2 years. It gave them, it allowed Mike Tannenbaum and those boys to shave about $6 million off of their cap. So in terms of a cap hit, it saved them money.
Yeah.
But ultimately, Mark Sanchez pocketed the money. Remember, they did this to Mark Sanchez, what was it, March 9th? And then March 21st is when they acquired Tebow. 12 days later,
Okay.
I think it's plausible that they made this deal with Sanchez, and Sanchez sold his soul. He basically said, all right, go ahead and do it. You're going to give me this money. And he got bought off by the New York Jets.
Okay.
He did